ท่านเล็กนะคะลูกให้มีอิสระในการจะยกมือถามได้เลยนะคะหลวงแม่ก็จะได้คุยกับลูกได้ไปถึงไหนนะลูกคีย์เวิร์ดนะคะคีย์เวิร์ดก็คือคำว่าแคร์กลับมาที่แคร์อีกนะคะคีย์เวิร์ดคือแคร์นี่มีอะไรบ้าง การแตกคำเนี่ยอาจารย์ไม่ได้มีหลักเกณฑ์อะไรหรอกเพียงแต่ว่าหลวงแม่อยากรู้ว่ามันน่าจะมีประเด็นที่จะพูดประมาณนี้ก็จะดึงเข้ามาให้สู่ CARE นะคะ C คือ careful caution wow if a nurse is not careful that's it the end of your life the end of others life นะคะ careful ตัว C นี่สำคัญมากๆ caring careful caution caring it's a great word you know do you care to have a cup of coffee means do you like to have a cup of coffee no? A is for attentive this is a great gift not every nurse has this A ability to read body language why if you have to deal with patient who cannot speak you know in tube and everything and you do not have the ability to read body language that is so difficult for the patient. I was working in the garden with new nuns. So I was breaking dry branches that fell off from the big tree with my hands, you know, and sometimes the thorn get on, it was hurting my finger. So I was asking her, please go and get me. I used my body language to say the clipper, you know, clipper. She just stood there. What is it? What is it, Venerable Mother? What is it that you need? You know, she didn't understand. In that particular situation, what do you need? I need a clipper. You know, and this is how you work with the clipper. You know, so body language is very important that a nurse must be able to read. You know, if you're talking to old patient, the old patient is not talking at all, but she was going like this. She was going like this all the time. She was looking at the clock. She's waiting for her son. You know, at least you ask, Grandma, why are you looking at the clock? You're waiting for someone. You look at the clock only because you are expecting. Right? You're expecting something, someone. So that kind of conversation will break her up. Meaning break her up so that she can start having a conversation to heal her. Otherwise, she refused to speak for days. You know, because she was so much wanted to be in contact with her loved ones. And sometimes, you know, these sons, daughters don't turn up. So the old woman is just looking like that. And as a nurse, you must be aware, what is she waiting? What is she expecting? Like that, you know, this body language, very important. One particular case of a doctor who had an accident, and he was like a vegetable. So the nurse was, have you read this story before? Have you read this story before? That this nurses don't read. I realize. They don't have time. พออยู่เวรกลับมาแล้วมันง่วงแล้วก็นอนมันไม่มีเวลาอ่านหนังสือ so your knowledge is very limited. You're not well-rounded. Speaking to a nurse and doctors, conversation could be blah, not interesting because they don't read. ไม่มีความรู้นอกตัวคุยกับหมอพยาบาลไม่สนุกเลยเพราะว่าเขาไม่อ่านเราก็พูดจากอะไรที่เราอ่านใช่ไหมคะเขาก็ไม่แชร์กับเรา so what happened is that every time when she changed him, turn him on the side, wipe his back and everything, and then sometimes, you know, the nurse was having some kind of frustration, beat him like this, and he was using all kind of nasty language to him, turn him around, put the powder, clean him up, put the powder and all that. He was a vegetable. What else can you do? So you think that you can do anything to a vegetable. Now this vegetable happened to wake up one day and the vegetable started to speak. This is how the doctor came back to his consciousness. He was conscious all the time, but the nerve, the brain did not function for him to respond. So he was not really a vegetable. He looked like a vegetable, but he was not. He was having full consciousness with him, but he could not respond because the brain was not functioning. So one day he woke up. And that's how we read the story of an experience of this doctor, of how he was treated by the nurse. He could actually came back with every sentence that the nurse actually talked to him or scolded him, or how he was being beaten by the nurse. So this body language is very important. So sometimes, people who are already in ICU and their children do not know whether their parents are coming back alive or not. I told them, particularly in near-death cases, I told the children to go and make offering to the patient. Talking to her ear, talking to his ears, telling him that this, usually we offer the robe. This robe will be offered to the monk. May you share with me this merit making. Tell the patient to the ears. The patient may be just like a vegetable. It look as though it's just vegetable, but actually may still read the message. So this is how I would suggest that the children should do to their parents when they are passing away, just before they pass away, so that they go with this kind of positive message to go along. So yes, the ability to read the body language, very important. I think while we are going through this, Ajahn, maybe you can already think of developing a course, for the nurse, for your student to be more alert and to learn about body language. I think we need to learn. It doesn't come to us automatically. And body language again goes with culture. It has lots of cultural leaning. So for Thai patients, what you are supposed to be doing. For the Western patients, what we are supposed to be reading from them. You can propose that maybe they add. I don't know in Thailand if you have someone who's good with body language. Usually when you speak about body language, they always mean Maraya Sankhoma. When you talk about body language, we tend to associate with social behavior. But I think it's also important for nurse. Very important for nurse. So maybe you can invite this specialist to come in and talk to the students. Even maybe one visit, one talk would be. You will see how he or she can actually explore the area. Or maybe you need twice, you need 3 times, to invite people to come in and talk to you about different kind of body language. Like, one time I was reading that if you go out for lunch or for dinner, for a woman to be doing like this, it means something. Or if you are doing the way you brush your hair, it means something. Like that, I think we need to learn. It is an art. To read body language is an art. And it is an art that is also necessary for nursing. So that particularly for those patients who cannot speak. Now, for Thai people, they do not speak many things that is in their mind. You can read through their body language. You can read through their body language also. So I think I would suggest, I would propose to Ajahn, think about it to invite someone to speak on body language. Yes? I put an example, Ananda. Ananda was the Buddha's attendant. He was the best person who actually, he was so attentive to the Buddha, to read the Buddha's mind. พระอานนท์ค่ะพระอานนท์หรือแม่พูดถึงพระอานนท์พระอานนท์ Ananda is the best example of a person who actually cared for the Buddha so much and literally could read what was going on in the mind of the Buddha. In one particular case, the Buddha was invited to a place and this king spread white cloth for the Buddha to step on. And the Buddha refused. The king asked 3 times, and the Buddha was just standing there. But finally, Ananda, reading the Buddha's body language, asked the host to remove the white cloth. Then the Buddha walked to the place where he was supposed to be seated. And then, only later on when they came back, then Ananda again requested the Buddha to explain why the Buddha did not step on the white cloth. The Buddha said, then the Buddha gave the story. The Buddha gave the story that the king had made a wish that if he should have a son, the Buddha would step on the white cloth. And the Buddha knew that this king is not going to have the son or children because in his previous birth he landed on an island and he had the soldiers, he ordered the soldiers to climb all the trees to take the eggs, the bird's eggs, and ate them. Now that's killing. As a result of that bad karma, he will not have children in his next life. So when he was the king, that was the next life, the Buddha knew that he will not have children. And the fact that he spread the white cloth, wishing the Buddha would step on the white cloth and he would have children, will not happen. Will not happen. So the Buddha knew already that he will not have children. Therefore the Buddha refused to step on the white cloth. So this is a good example of Ananda reading the mind of the Buddha. Now this is not reading the body language, but reading the mind of the Buddha, and knew that you cannot insist. If the Buddha refused to step on the white cloth, the Buddha refused. And there must be some reason behind it, so you do not push. There must be something that he cannot say then and there. So that's why he, on behalf of the Buddha, he requested the host to have the cloth removed. Is it? You see, so Ananda is a very good example of reading the mind, reading the body language, reading the mind. R for responsibility and rest. Responsibility, of course, we have already talked about this when we were discussing about nurse. And rest is very important for you as a nurse. Because a nurse is one profession that you tend to lack rest. You know, because you work 8 hours and then you have to work overtime. You know, go on for 16 hours. You have so limited hours to just go back during the time when you were still a student. Very little, few hours to go back to your hostel. Just grab few hours to sleep. So you must be able to sleep at will. Sleep at will is very difficult. You do not fall asleep as you wish many times. No? And that it become a disease, in fact. It actually develop into a disease that you cannot fall asleep. So rest is very important for a person who actually takes nursing as profession. I don't think many people, outsiders realize that as a nurse, to rest is very important. How can you be a good, smiling, loving, with loving faces to your patient the next morning when you didn't have sleep? You know, this is unrealistic. Unrealistic, it's not logical. So therefore, a nurse must have rest. I put this as something that I see as important. Yes, and E for equality. Equality, treating all equally. And E also for equanimity. The Pali word is Upekkha. Upekkha. Upekkha, ability to see things as they are. Now I need to explain this. Upekkha. Upekkha is in Brahmavihara, Brahmihansi. Is in Brahmavihara. You start with Metta. Metta is loving kindness. Karuna. Karuna is compassion. Mudita, joy to see others' success. And the last one, Upekkha. Upekkha is equanimity. สามารถจะวางใจเป็นกลาง Often you find that people simply neglect and explain that this is Upekkha, this is equanimity. No. ไม่ใช่วางเฉยแต่อยู่เป็นคนที่ใจจืดอะใช่เป็นคนใจจืดอะแต่ทำท่าเป็นวางเฉย you have someone in need, a sick person in front of the hospital in need of care, but he or she didn't have the money. You are a nurse walking past by, looking at the man. Too bad for you. This is not Upekkha. This is not equanimity. This is negligent, pure negligent. เป็นคนใจจืดนะคะ So before you can call yourself that you are actually practicing Upekkha or equanimity, you must have expressed loving kindness. You must have expressed compassion. You must have helped. You try to help in some way, but you have extended from your side already. Reach out full of what you can do, but the other person is not reaching out his hand or her hand, then well, that's too bad. Then you can let go. You don't let go when you have not first helped the person. So try to help the person first before you equanimity. Now the second meaning or the second way of looking at this equanimity is you have been nursing this person for a long time already. Some cases, it's years. This patient staying there for years. So you have developed that kind of attachment. You don't see the true nature of things, that when death takes its way, it is going to be like this. This is nature. Allow nature to take its toll. But because you have already developed a great attachment, you cannot let go. So as a result, you are so sad. You are so sad for the next week, not next day, the next 7 days you're so sad because of this departure of this particular patient that you actually had developed attachment to her. You must be able to bring about the balance. Equanimity is the balance of your mind. The balance of your mind that of course you like the person, you love the person, but when your loved ones has to depart, it is his journey, it is her journey. And particularly as a nurse, you have to be able to keep your mind balanced. Now, a job of a nurse and a job of a monk like me is very similar. ตรงนี้นะคะประเด็นตรงนี้ใกล้เคียงกันเลยเวลาที่มีคนตาย when we have someone departing, patient departing, as a nurse, be kind to him, be kind to her in your words, say goodbye, say proper goodbye, do not cling. As a monk also, we have to be able to tell the way. พระเป็นผู้บอกทางถ้าลูกจำได้นะเขาให้พระเป็นผู้บอกทาง A monk or a nun is one who tells the way. That's hard for us because we don't know the way. If we don't know the way, because we have not walked the way, we also have not walked this way yet. Towards death. How can they expect you to be telling the way? แต่ว่าในประเพณีไทยให้พระเป็นผู้บอกทาง In Thai tradition, they always expect that as monastics, we are the one to tell the way. So remind them of the good things that they have done. But some patients have never done any good things. That's going to be hard. Remind them of Allah. In your case, remind them of Jesus. Remind them of the Buddha. So bhavana, 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 bhavana. Bhavana is to be constantly reminded of that quality. So if you bhavana all the time, you are constantly reminded of the good things, of Dharma, of the teaching of the Buddha. So keep repeating the word. Could be Buddha, 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 something like that. For the departing soul. For a departing soul. So at least this departing soul has something to hold on to. Allow me to explain for the Buddhist. Very unique explanation of how when the mind, when we depart from our body. It is explained like this. There may be, many cows, white cows and black cows. And there is this gate. This gate, when the gate is open, I use passive voice, when the gate is opened, only one cow can get out at one time. So that's the time of departing. How are we to make sure that it is the white cow that gets out? The white cow's meaning the good deeds that will lead you upward, or the black cow will lead you down. Because you don't know the time. The gate is opened, it's passive. So you must always constantly make sure that it will be the white cow that gets out. So at the time of departure, it's very important that we do the children, the patient's children are home. It's always the nurse. So the nurse, be kind to the patient. Always whisper in their ear. You need to touch. There was a time, say some 50 years ago, they trained the nurse not to touch the patient. But now, this touching is another art. Touching, yes, patients really need this physical touch to feel connected with yet another human being. So this is very important. As a nurse, just a soft touch, just reassurance for the patients that you can go, it is all right. That is like taking a journey. But you go before me, I will join you later. Like that, So I think as a nurse, you really have to have some background for spiritual journey. You need to have this background because you also have to go, not only your patient. Each one of us, we have to go. And when we go, this journey is very much individualistic again. The journey is very much individualistic. So therefore, only you and Allah. Nobody else knows. Only you and God that would know. So you have to keep this connection strong. Yes, if in your daily life you don't keep the connection strong, how can you be sure that at the time of death, Allah would be there for you? Jesus would be there for you. So very important that we come to practice. Every night I practice as though I'm departing. I'm going now. So unless you are constantly make sure that you have the white cow waiting at the gate, so that when the gate is open like this, it's the white cow that goes. Very important that we practice, all of us, we practice this, and very important that we know the message and we can convey the message to the patients, particularly the departing ones. Yes? You see how important you become now? Suddenly you become very important person. The doctor is not there, it's the nurses. It's the nurses only who will be at this time of the most crucial time in life before you take on another existence. So that very important time. Yes, Dr.